Welcome to Strong by Nature, your portable campfire sessions for living strong, balanced and connected, the Grizzly way. Everybody's chasing balance like it's a maths problem, 50% work, 50% life, 8 hours sleep, 8 hours grind. But the truth, balance isn't about perfect numbers, it's about flow. Today I want to break down why perfect balance doesn't exist and how to think about it in a way that actually makes life lighter. Alright, so balance. Look, my early 20s was fucking chaotic. And remember, this is when I was learning to adjust to bipolar as well. You know, there was so much going on. I was figuring out shit with medications and everything. But like, I was also trying to do everything at the same time. You know, I had all these fucking dreams that I was chasing and not really chasing anything, right? Like, I was working as an apprentice builder. I was playing rugby, right? Like, I wanted to be an All Black, but you know, I'd go to training once or twice a week and then play the game on the weekend, but I was never doing fucking anything else. But like, in my mind, I'm like, fuck, as long as I just keep thinking I'm going to be an All Black one day, I'm going to be an All Black one day. I was skateboarding all the time. Like, I wanted to be a pro skater, but you know, like, I was just fucking goofing off. I'd go to the skate park and get anxious at like, oh, people aren't going to think I'm any good, so I'll just try and do something really fucking hard, and I'd waste a whole fucking 3-hour skate session just trying to do something I was never going to land, was never getting close to. At least if I'm seen trying to do something hard, people will think I'm fucking good. I was playing in bands, you know. I just wanted to be Blink-182, so this is all at the same time, you know. Like, I'm skateboarding, I'm playing rugby, I'm playing in bands, I'm practicing all of these things a couple of times a week, but never really fucking practicing in a way that I was ever going to get any good at any of this shit. I was partying on the weekends as well, you know. I was going along to church at that point as well. I was involved in youth group, so I was going along to youth group on Saturday nights, and then I'd go along and fucking play with the band, and then I'd go to a party afterwards and get fucking hammered, and then I'd wake up the next morning and play in the church band. And I was juggling jobs as well, you know. I was an apprentice plasterer for a while, and then I did a building apprenticeship. I broke my neck, so after that I was kind of like, okay, let's just fucking not go so hard on a heavy job anymore. And then I was working in a skate shop, and then I was doing support work for people with mental health, and then I worked as a painter for a while, and then I got back into fucking building again and finished my apprenticeship. But I was just doing everything at once, and I was never trying to do anything well. Like, no wonder I had so much fucking struggle with my mental health in those early years, right? And then there was, you know, then we lived in Australia, and that was fucking full grind when we had the coffee shop in Gold Coast, you know, 6 or 7 days a week. Financially okay, but mentally we were just exhausted. Sunday was our only day off, but even then it wasn't always a day off, because if we'd rented the cafe out for an event on the Saturday night, like, we either cleaned it late Saturday night, or we got up Sunday morning and then we cleaned it. And then, you know, there was also other shit we had to do with the business on the Saturdays as well. There was a lot on the Sundays, sorry. There was buying all the supplies, and there was paying staff, and like, even staff coming along was like, that was like a blessing and a curse all at the same time, because, you know, staff obviously start picking up some of the workload, but then there's all the stress that comes with having staff. So like, we were all go all the time during that period. And then becoming a dad, realizing like the importance of a different kind of balance now. Like, balance wasn't about doing everything. It's now about choosing to do what matters the most. Like, I touch on this a bit, but like, my daughter obviously is fucking everything to me. So being able to fit my life around hanging out with her at the moment is incredible, you know. Like, we're living in a place right now where our expenses don't need to be that high, and we're able to take on a lesser workload, you know. Like, I don't have to work in the afternoon, so it's perfect that she only goes to her daycare in the mornings, and then I have the whole afternoon to just be stay-at-home dad. And just finding that work-life exercise balance around all of that now, you know. Like, I work in the mornings. I get up early to give myself a few extra hours to do shit in the morning, then we go about our day, and then in the afternoons I hang out with Sol, and I put my micro sessions of exercise in and around all of these moments of just doing shit that I want to do now, you know, like I do the kind of work that I want to do, because I'm not stressing about, fuck, oh, I have to get back on the tools so I can earn some proper money. No, I can now build this shit that I've been trying to build for a long time, and I can really hang out with my daughter and spend some cool fucking quality time with her in these early years where she's just a sponge for information, right? Balance now means family, movement, simple living, but it's also giving myself flexibility. This is why I brought back my early morning routines, not for hustle, not for grind, but look, Sol starts daycare at 8 a.m. and she finishes at 12:30ish. So we get her up at 7 because she's 3 years old, you know, like there's not a whole lot of shit you do in the morning, and daycare's just up the road, but having a whole hour to just slowly put the lunch together, slowly cook a breakfast, slowly get her into her little uniform and do her hair, like, it's awesome. It's slow paced, and it sets the tone for a really chill day after that. But if I get up at 5 a.m. first and do a couple of hours of work and a couple of hours of that stuff that I like to do to start my morning, my breath work, my meditation, some movement, some flexibility sort of stuff, some journaling, but just a little bit of stuff to get me going, and then go up to the computer and do the work as well that sets the tone for the rest of the day, you know. Start organizing the day, make a list of the things I need to do, and then just start with some editing or something a little bit more sort of slow paced. Then I have that hour where we all just do shit as family, and then 4 hours of boom straight into it. Like that's dynamite. Like it's not about hustling and grinding and bragging. Yeah, I get up at 5 a.m. It's like, nah, fuck. I'm more bragging about I only have to do 6 hours of work every day. You know, like that's fucking cool to have that balance, to make that little bit of extra time in the mornings, because like I'm not an evenings guy either. Sometimes Belle will stay up late working at night, but I just can't do that. I go hard in the mornings, and then just as the afternoon goes on, I kind of taper. I've always been like that. So it's cool for me to get up and just knock out that morning, get that extra little bit of time there. Sol's asleep anyway, so I'm not losing any time with her. Like I keep saying, like that's like mentally, that's like the priority for me. Like spend time with my daughter, spend time with my wife and daughter. Like how can we do all this stuff together? How can I fit more moments of the day into hanging out with her? Because the reality is, you know, one day she's going to grow up and move out of home, and then I'll see her as often as I see my parents now, you know. Like I really want to make sure I'm getting as much of that time as possible now. Okay, maybe it limits our opportunities financially, but fuck, we'll have that time later on. If we decide we want to be millionaires in fucking 15 years time when she moves out of home, then cool, we'll do it then. But right now, like, no, like time is money. Like that's where it's all going for me right now. And that's like, that's balance. That's balance flowing and changing. And you know, like when we had the coffee shop, like that was financially driven, but again, like it wasn't like we're trying to be millionaires, but we were trying to build that coffee shop to a point where we could live out of it. It took us a couple of years, but then the next 2 years, like we lived out of that, and then we sold it for a good amount of money. So it was that there was the payoff there, but the balance was very different then, you know. The balance was very much cafe, and then like a little bit of socializing, and then like the exercise as well. And then there's been times in life when fucking all in on exercise. Like I was training for a competition or something, right? Like I did like a lot of long distance runs at a time, and I did open water swims. So during those times, like the balance, the exercise, like I was spending a whole lot more time focused on the exercise for those things. Same with CrossFit, same with when I've done jiu-jitsu comps. In the build up to a jiu-jitsu comp, like I zero in for a few weeks. So, you know, like that's a lot of what I'm thinking about. So balance flows. It's never a 50-50 thing. But then like that's the other thing as well. Like you have to be mindful of with that balance at times, because like for me, like I can have a very obsessive personality, especially in those early years of learning to adjust with bipolar. And I was exercising all the time as an outlet, and running all the time, but I went way too far that way with it, and I was constantly thinking about my numbers and my splits, and I'd go for runs and I'd break down each kilometre of where I was peaking and thinking about the terrain, and I got right down to just below 70 kilos at one point. So I'm about 80, 82 now, so 10 kilos lighter than I am now, and I'm already like a pretty slim built dude. So imagine like me with, what's that, a fucking eighth of my body weight missing. Like that's not good, you know. Like I was unhealthy in a different sort of way at that point, and that as well spiraled into fucking depression again. So like when you don't get the balance right and you lean too far into one thing, it becomes a bad thing. I do love running. Like there's always going to be something in my heart about running, just like there is fucking skateboarding and fucking punk rock music and shit like that, and jiu-jitsu now. Like running is always gonna have a special place in my heart, but I don't do it like I do, I don't do it like I did, and I don't think I ever will again, because I know it's one of those things, you know. Like I flew too close to the sun. I got way too into it, and it became an ugly, horrible thing as well. Like my body's just not as stoked on running anymore. Like my fucking all my plates and shit in my ankle from breaking that last year. Like I'm not going to be able to run like that ever again anyway. So like it's probably a good thing. Look, letting go of the idea of perfect makes life so much simpler. I'm not chasing a physique anymore, and all I was ever really chasing a physique for was for content, you know. Like this whole journey, content creation, started for me with Grizzly Functional Training, with making fitness content, because, you know, I wanted to train people online. I was passionate about it and I wanted to do it, but I was like, fuck, if I don't look like the other trainers, like who's gonna wanna sign up and train with me? So that was this sole motivation for times when I've been like trying to build a particular physique, because I wanted to look like every other trainer. But I'm not trying to train people like every other trainer, you know. Like why would I be trying to fit into a mold that isn't really aligned with my message? You know, like I train because I like training. You know, I move my body in ways I enjoy doing that benefits my life, right? The things I like to do require a certain level of mobility and flexibility and strength. So I do things that impact that. You know, if I was still playing rugby, I would be training differently. Like if I had, everybody here plays paddle, it's like a mix of fucking tennis and squash. You know, if I was playing that, my exercise would change to suit that. You know, and that's how we all should be. You should be thinking of like the things you enjoy doing in your life, and the kind of lifestyle you live, and the kind of things you want to be doing, and your exercise and your mobility should reflect that, right? Like not everybody needs to have the hip mobility I'm chasing, but not everybody trains jiu-jitsu, and not everybody that trains jiu-jitsu plays jiu-jitsu the way I do. You know, like I play a flexible game. I play a lot in my guards and that kind of thing. So I need the hip mobility for that. But if I decided to stop doing that, or if I wasn't doing that anymore, I wouldn't be so worried about trying to get like a nice wide split. Like that's not necessary for daily life. And that's the thing. Like if you just want to do it because you want to tick that thing off, cool. Like that's fine as well. But the majority of your exercise and that side of life should be there to complement the kind of life you want to live. You know, like having abs and looking good on Instagram doesn't complement anything important in life, right? It's the same with business now as well. Like I'm not as worried about things getting perfect, you know. Like it's about getting reps, and it's about putting videos out there and learning to edit as I go, and getting things right as I go, getting the fucking volume and these kind of things right as I go. Like this is the first episode of the podcast that I'm doing video, because I wanted to get a few reps in first. I wanted to get myself used to talking. And look, I just filmed a YouTube video before this, and I've had the time now of just talking, and I'm getting used to doing it. I'm feeling more comfortable. So there's going to be less cuts and less edits in this. So there was a time when I wouldn't have started until I knew I was going to be able to do everything perfect. So, you know, that's, what do they call that? Paralysis by analysis. You know, and I've got a few friends like that have talked for years about wanting to start their business, and they're still researching a business, and the moment's gone now. You know, like the niche that they were looking at, like people are already serving that niche. Like they've missed that opportunity because they're still trying to get it perfect. You don't need perfection, and this is going to sound contradictory, but perfection does come by practice. You know, you learn more from mistakes than you learn from getting things right. So you've just got to start doing shit. You know, like if you want to start making videos, if you want to do a podcast, just start fucking doing it. See, the problem is like culture sells us this whole idea that work-life balance is this fixed thing, but it's not. You know, those two things flow and come and go, and you've just got to learn to ride the waves with life. Like if there's something particular you have to get done in a particular part of your life that you have to focus on for a bit, that's cool, but ease the strain on some of the other things, right? Like if you know that there's a big project coming up for work and you've just got to get it done, and you know you only need 3 weeks to focus and get it done. Okay, let go of some other shit. Don't try and go to the gym so often. Like say no to a couple of weeks of social events, because once the work pressure's off, you can double down on those a little bit more, right? Like it's about going with the flows of things. If you've got something that you're particularly training for, you know, like the competitions or this or that or a race or something, like it's okay to zero in on that for a little bit, but let go of the other shit a little bit. That's more what it's all about, is we've just got to learn to release a couple of the strings sometimes. You can't be trying to do everything 100%, otherwise you're never going to do anything very well at all. And look, I've been here so many times, and I'm still learning to deal with this myself. You know, like I'm not the perfect example by any means, but like I see the early warnings that I'm a little bit too hard one way. You know, I start to get a little bit of a short fuse. I'm starting to feel tired all the time. I have no time for the stuff that makes me me, and that's when I know like the balance is getting off a little bit. You know, I start to notice when I'm getting increasingly frustrated at silly things. It's because I've gone too hard one way. Like recently, for example, you know, there's been a bit of stress with us with getting my visa application sorted, getting the residency sorted. You know, we've had to go back and forwards between here and Waikele a little bit, and there's been fucking appointments here and appointments there, and you know, we were both getting stressed. That particular situation was a little bit out of our control. But once we kind of realised, like, okay, like we're not getting much work done at the moment, but that's okay because we've just got to deal with this one thing, and we can get back to work once this is all sorted. Sweet, you know, like the application's in now, you know, like all the pressure's off. We're just waiting for it to get approved now, so we can zero in, you know. I've got good weather today, so I'm going to knock out a whole lot of videos for the week, and then I can spend the rest of the week editing. Like, you find those balances and you make do with what's going on around you, with your environment, right? I've always said it with exercise, but now I think it really applies to everything in life. But listen to your body, right? And I've got friends that tease me for it because I was saying it all the time. You know, they'd be whinging about something being a little bit sore, and I'm like, well, don't train, listen to your body. And you know, that just became a joke. Listen to your body. But your body's telling you shit, right? When we moved over here to Ecuador because my father-in-law got diagnosed with cancer. My wife's an only child, so we moved over to help the family and spend more time with that. And there was a lot of shit going on, but we were handling it. You know, like we didn't feel too crazy, like there was no real signs. But then, you know, my wife started saying when she was washing her hair, like, fuck, like a lot of hair is coming out. And it was stress, you know, there was that stress that was happening, obviously, right? Like your father's on his deathbed, of course you're going to be fucking stressed. We were talking about this the other day, like, you know, we've got rid of that stress now. She's not seeing the hair falling out or nothing anymore. Like, she's in a good place. But like, that was one of those signs that we are now aware of. Like, a big one for me is my fucking, this part here particularly, you know, like every time I go through a stressful event, it's like a fucking 5% increase in white hairs. Like, I had like scatters through here when we sold the cafe. That was all on me, you know. I was dealing with lawyers and shit every day, and that whole process, boom. At the end of it, I was like, fuck, I got white hairs in my chin now. Moving over here, boom. There's a whole lot more now, you know, because like we we moved countries. We packed up our life and moved to a different country, and then now that we're here, we've moved to a different city. Like, we've got some stability and some chill now, and now that we've kind of through that, I'm looking at it again and I'm like, fuck's sake, there we go. There's another round of grey hairs in the beard. So that's stress for me. That's how stress presents itself. So we're starting to see these little things. We're starting to learn from those things, and yeah, I'm not doing the journaling anymore in that sort of way like I was, but that's the beautiful thing of journaling, is you start to see these patterns forming, and then you realize where it's all coming from. So our practical takeaway for the day is, like, sit down and just have a little bit of a think, like, what is taking too much energy from your life, and like, be honest about it. Like, what's taking up too much time at the moment? What can you dial back a little bit? If you need to start a journal for a little bit, then try that out. Like, every morning, write down the things you need to do in the morning, and then in the evening, write down the things that you needed to do, and just write down how you generally felt throughout the day. Write down anything unusual you noticed about your body that day, and you will start to see patterns form. One shift this week as well. That's our second practical takeaway. Like, pick one small shift you can make, even if it's just the tiniest little thing, even if it's just swapping out the gym for a week and just trying a few of these micro sessions throughout the day. See if that makes a difference. See if, getting up a little bit earlier is going to help you find a little bit more time. See if you can maybe not do so much work in the evenings, Yeah, see if watching one less episode of Netflix and spending a little bit more time with your significant other is a doable little shift you can do. Like, redefine balance is really what I want you to take away from this, and you can do that right now. Like, redefine your balance, not equal but intentional. Where is the majority of your energy going now? Where do you need the majority of your energy going, and where do you want the majority of your energy going, and what changes can you make to balance that out? Balance isn't a destination, it's a practice. We don't wait until everything's perfect. Adjust one thing this week and see how it feels. Balance isn't about perfection. It's about learning when to push, when to pull back, about when to let it go. It's not 50-50. It's knowing what season you're in. Stay strong, stay balanced, and stay connected. That's the Grizzly way.